Michael Evan Fernandez, Fluent Finance Abroad. I live in Madrid, Spain. I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area in the U.S. Lived there for 33 years and began my career as a mortgage banker in that area, mortgage banker in the U.S. and came to Spain in 2021. Part of the reason that I joined Fluent Finance and that Mark Elliott and I, the owner of the company, got along so well is we share this vision of the opportunity that exists with Americans at the moment. There's been a lot of news recently about foreign investment in Spain, about the increase in investment in property by foreign buyers. And the US is really underrepresented in that. And I think it's because they lack information, not because it's not a great place to invest. It obviously is. And so obviously with my circumstances and my background as a mortgage banker in the US, I started looking for mortgage brokerages to become a part of and really saw fit with Fluent Finance Abroad. A couple of reasons why I think it's great for Americans to invest in Spain is, well, back in the summer when Mark and I started talking, the dollar was very strong against the euro. It's weakened a little bit now, but there's still that opportunity based on the exchange rate. And the digital nomad visa, which I learned about in December when the law came out, was something that I thought was a fantastic opportunity for a lot of individuals who have a job, who work at, like a W-2 employee. W-2 is a wage earner, right? But that could, potentially have very high wages as a W-2 employee that could do their job remotely from Spain, working with a US company. And so from that framework, I started to network with lawyers, with immigration attorneys, with tax attorneys that deal with this subject, because obviously, I would need their support and guidance and be able to explain, these nuances to any clients that are interested, because we do see them. I mean, clients, they don't necessarily start with that, right? They start with the real estate agent, and the real estate agent will refer them to us. And so we need to work a lot of these things out in our end as mortgage brokers to provide comprehensive solutions for clients. So that's why I'm super excited and interested in this subject.
Okay, so and just to clarify, the Fluent Finance Abroad is based out of the Marbella area. That's like the HQ, correct?
Yeah, we have offices in San Pedro and in Soto Grande, and I'm in Madrid.
So a few days ago, there was a conference that you were invited to. Tell me a little bit about what that was.
The conference was basically breaking down what the digital nomad requirements are, what the benefits are for not only digital nomad visa, but the digital nomad visa is an add-on to the ley de startups. And so this is something that was added on to an existing law to promote investment and business development in Spain. And so that was what the event was about, and to really offer the information to the attendees.
Okay, so you went there and you were quite pumped, correct?
I was.
You were hoping to come back with all the bits and pieces you needed to be able to advise customers and get rolling with things quickly, correct?
For sure. Trying to be out in front of the curve, I think, is important in my field, right? To be in the know, to have the right people, to be able to ask questions to, because this isn't my field. And so part of it was networking. Major part of it was networking, and another major part of it was to learn. And I thought that I was going to come back with a lot of great information to tell all my friends in the US, hey, this is how you get over here. This is how you invest in Spain. Obviously I can do the mortgage, and was a little bit disappointed.
So what you thought would be plain sailing, a list of requirements and off you go, it doesn't seem it's quite so straightforward. Why is that?
No, so they're still working on the final details, which were supposed to be out this week. And I'm watching my phone because I did text somebody or send via WhatsApp a message to main speaker this morning to see if the final guidance was available. But they are processing the digital nomad visas. I think they had one detail that came out in that conference was that I think so far there's 400 applications, and this is before even the final details have been finalized. When I was obviously, you see the volume, you see the potential business for me as a mortgage banker, as a mortgage broker, and obviously I'm from the U.S., have the mortgage banking experience there, and so it's a natural fit to deal with to target the U.S. market. And what I learned is that because our social security systems are so different here in Spain, you have under the umbrella of social security, you have healthcare, you have workers' compensation, unemployment benefits, a lot of different things. In the U.S., it's not. It's more of a like a pension plan, right? For when you retire, you get those social security benefits. It's just you're just depositing in there, and then your healthcare is private, and workers' compensation. Each employer has their own coverage and insurance for that, separate, all private. And so what Spain is asking for a person who is employed by an employer who does not have a presence in Spain, they're asking the country to issue a social security certificate, meaning that they're going to be covered by that country's social security based on the parameters from Spain, right? So based on what Spain's social security, so it's impossible really for the U.S. to issue that type of a certificate. So then what they're requesting is the employer to pay, into the Spanish social security, as I understand it. I might be wrong, right? But the employer to pay into the Spanish social security system as an alternative, and really no employer is going to do that for a foreign government from the U.S. And so thirdly, the workaround is to have the employee who, when you're an employee with a company in the U.S., and it could be a large corporation. A lot of these large corporations are the ones that really allow their workforce to work remotely. As long as the employer allows the individual to live overseas, the barrier really is that I saw is this issue with the Spanish social security. And so what the worker would have to do is terminate their relationship as an employee and become a subcontractor to whatever that entity is. And I found this to be not really something that I think a lot of US persons would do. I mean, employer benefits, obviously we don't have the same social security situation as in the US as Spaniards do. So we don't have public health. And so, healthcare for one is far and beyond very expensive if you don't have it through an employer. If your 401k, right? Your retirement contributions, all of those things are employer benefit plans.
Within the digital nomad visa requirements, there is a requirement for health insurance. So that kind of is a bit of a moot point in a sense, isn't it? Because you wouldn't be using the Spanish health system anyway if you were a digital nomad, right? Because you'd be having health insurance. So
I brought that question up at the conference because I thought this was all based on the health insurance, the healthcare, right? Like you don't want foreigners coming and using the healthcare of the country, which is, I understand it's and without, paying into the social security. And, what I brought up is that most of these health plans that employers offer their employees are covered by private health institutions here, like HM Hospitales, which is also we're proud sponsors of the American Club of Madrid, and a little plug for them as well. They are as well. They offer services to Americans, and they won't use Spanish health plans. So it's only they only will use it for they only will accept these universal health plans that many of them are already in place in the U.S. through that U.S. employer. And so again, this is something that I haven't necessarily dug into and studied. I'm no expert on this subject.
You come back from the conference a little bit deflated because they were not quite 100% ironed out simplicity yet.
Yeah. I mean, I guess deflated, but also it's encouraged. I'm encouraged that, hey, maybe there's some way that I could, help this, the this process and give whatever insights, obviously, like, there's a disconnect, right, between,
Yeah.
and I see that every day. I mean, my grandparents are Spanish, and I celebrated Three Kings Day when I grew up in the U.S., right? So culturally, I have a mix of everything, and so it's the I understand how both things work. But yeah, no, totally in the short term. I guess the short term, yes, a little bit deflated. Long term, I think that, I think Spain wants this. Obviously, they've added this as a priority. I think it'll increase the tax revenue of the country, and I think there are a lot of people in the U.S. that would love to come over and enjoy the lifestyle here, especially if their employer didn't have a problem with it. For self-employed folks, if they already have like a contract, or contracts with clients, their business has been operating for a little while, they seem to be okay.
Yeah.
And the reason is because they would have to come over here, and under that law, as a self-employed person, you can earn, I think, 20% of your income in Spain under that law. And so they would have to register as an autónomo, right? And then pay into the social security system that way.
Okay, see it. I mean, I'll put in the description of this video, I'll put a link to another video that explains the ins and outs of the requirements for the digital nomad visa. But so when hopefully they're gonna in the very near future, they're gonna sort of iron out that little kink and finally make it super easy for this situation to take place. Would you be in a position to let us know when that happens, do you think?
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I'm connected to all the right people. And so.
Well, one of the guys at the conference was like a minister, wasn't he? Like a government minister for immigration or something like that. Was that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do now, right?
What?
I'm going to ask you to tell me what his name was.
Luis Manzanares Fernandez Roldón. Very nice man.
Lovely name. Okay, great. Okay, well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for your time. And as soon as we hear anything further to do with this slight confusion to do with the Social Security thing for employees, U.S. employees, you'll let us know, right?
Yeah, I mean, the UK has issued the certificate, so folks from the UK that work remotely are able to apply for it, and I guess the UK government is issuing that Social Security certificate. And I mean, it's the final resolution is supposed to be out this week. So I mean, it's Friday, March 31st, and maybe today, later this afternoon, watch my LinkedIn feed. I'll be posting something, or yours.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
No problem. My pleasure. Take care, Alfredo. See you.
Bye bye.